So Treyarch just released brand new gameplay footage of Firebase Z, and that's the reason we're starting off with the face cam here, because if you guys aren't trying to see gameplay, you want to wait to play it yourself, because like you only have to wait like one more day, 2 more days maybe to play this. Then if you don't want to see gameplay, you want to experience it yourself for the first time, then go ahead and click off this video, because we are going to be showing the gameplay that Treyarch showed and also discussing that gameplay. But with that said, let's get into this. So they actually, well, what happened here, if you guys didn't see it, is that they had different people talking. You had the lead level design, the sound design, and just a bunch of different people. One of those people being Craig Usen, obviously the lead story design, or story writer, I guess is what you would call him. And they talked about all the different things about this map, and that's what I want to go over. And I want to go over pretty much in the order that they were rather shown on screen or they talked about. And it's the reason why I'm making this video is because if I was just going to repeat what they were saying, which I'm going to do a little of, I ain't going to lie, but if that was it, I wouldn't make the video. But there are some things that happen in-game that they didn't explain fully, that the gameplay showed, and I can further explain, and also things they just didn't even mention but were shown on screen. But with that said, let's start off with what was mentioned first, and this is by Craig Houston, and he said that this is going to, or the story of Firebase Z is going to revolve around Samantha Maxis. Obviously, we know that she's been captured by what seems to be the Overlord, and maybe we're going to fight the Overlord for that, and that makes a lot of sense. But it seems like she's going to, obviously have a major role, but how as much as a major role as being, besides being just the one we're here to rescue, that is, I'm not entirely sure. It may be something that we just don't know about yet. Maybe she's going to play a bigger role later in the Easter egg or at the ending cutscene. I don't know, but considering that it seems like we're not going to see her till the end, or at least I was assuming we weren't going to see her till like maybe the end of the cutscene or something like that. I'm just interested to see how she's actually going to be a main focus outside of just being somewhere we're here to rescue, because he said we're going to learn more about Samantha than we ever have before. So interesting to see how that's all going to work out. But anyways, another thing we saw is that we actually saw the location of another perk, because in the trailer we saw the location of Quick Revive, which is at the village, and we also saw Tombstone, which is at the base, but we also saw Jug, which is also going to be at the base, but it's going to be in this very big room, probably one of those large buildings that we had seen outside of, but this first time inside of it. It looks really nice, so that's the location of Jug. The other thing that we noticed is that Pack-a-Punch is going to be at the village, so it's going to be similar to Moon in a way, where you spawn in Area 51. There was a Pack-a-Punch machine, but then you would go to the main map, on Moon. You actually go to the Moon, so it's pretty similar to that, but I think the village is actually bigger and there's more to do there. But regardless, that's where Pack-a-Punch is going to be. Other thing to notice about Pack-a-Punch is that actually Ravnov is going to be standing literally right next to Pack-a-Punch. So that's a thing. I knew we were probably going to see him somewhere in game, but right off spawn, right next to Pack-a-Punch, that's interesting to see. So I guess we're going to have to see. But another thing that we saw in the gameplay is that Ravnov is one of the people that is speaking to, I guess, us, but more to Weaver inside the map. Because in Die Maschine, you had Weaver, and you would talk to rather Dr. Gray, Strauss, or Major Carver. So you'd have one of those people. But instead, it seems like Weaver's just going to be talking to Ravnov. I mean, there's a possibility that, Gray or Strauss or Carver will get involved, but we did not see that here. But that's something to notice. Another thing is that we saw is these things that we now know are called ether reactors, and this is what we saw in the trailer. And when I saw the trailer, I could have sworn that we saw zombie souls being collected to these things, but it seems like that's actually not the case. And instead, what you have to do to activate these ether reactors is not only interact with them, but then you have to defend them from zombies, and not defend the reactor itself, as you guys can see in the gameplay, instead of these two round ball things that look like those old-fashioned scuba gear stuff. So it looks like you have to defend those for some amount of time, probably not that long, but normal, like defend this for a little bit type of deal thing. As for what these ether reactors actually activate, we don't know, but there's a chance it's Pack-a-Punch. I think that's currently the most likely thing, because we do get indicators to activate these things, and Treyarch, from what we learned in Die Maschine, they normally, or at least in Die Maschine, they told us how to get to Pack-a-Punch even without a guide. They just had indicators on screen what to do. As I mentioned, there's not only one ether reactor in the map. We actually see two of them, one in a spiral staircase area, and one kind of, the one we saw earlier. I do believe there's at least one more though, because we had seen one more inside the teasers that we got forever ago that doesn't look to be one of these ones. So I think there's going to be 3 ether reactors that we have to activate in order to probably get Pack-a-Punch. Another thing we notice is that we see 2 workbenches around the map. And when I say workbenches, I am talking about the place that you use your salvage to buy your equipment, meaning, your tactiles, lethals, and of course your streaks. We do see one at the base area of the map, and then we also see one at the village area of the map. And to end this off with the 2 major things they mentioned right there at the end, and one of them is a brand new round, which I'm assuming is replacing the dog rounds, are going to be these assault rounds. And this is interesting because what it says on screen when the assault round just starts, as we saw in the gameplay, it says defend the ether reactors. So I'd assume that you have to go into the rooms that the ether reactors are and defend those, kind of like how Origins is, where you have the Templar zombies go and attack the generators. But it seems like that's not the case, and instead what happens is outside of the maps you see these ether orbs appear, and a ton of zombies start spawning out of those, and you have to kill all the zombies. And what you have to protect is not directly the ether reactors, but instead something that we see in the gameplay called the fire control unit. As for what that is and if there's multiple of them, I'm not entirely sure, but I guess we're going to have to see how those all play out. Hopefully they're not too intense, because we do see that the boss zombie is there, and it can attack you in the gameplay, of course, the boss zombie, which we now know the name is. And to bring us to our final thing, the mimic boss zombie and how it works. So this is actually something we learned of from a teaser a while back, or a couple days ago, but how this boss zombie spawns in is actually a lot different from any boss zombie before, because instead of just spawning in or something like that, instead it's going to be called a mimic zombie for a reason, because it's going to be hidden as valuables just randomly laying on the floor. We don't know exactly everything that it can be hidden in, but the one we did see was some salvage that was on the floor. Then the salvage turned into the mimic boss zombie and attacked the player. I'm sure there's going to be random weapons on the floor that you're going to think, hey, look, there's a random weapon. You're going to pick that up, and then obviously going to turn into the mimic boss zombie. I like the unique spawns to it. I think that's a cool thing. I like that. As for its attacks, it does seem, for at least what they said and what we heard about it, is that it does look like it could grab you, kind of like the Panzer Blightfather type of deal thing, and pull you closer, then bite you and stuff like that. So that's everything they talked about here today with this video. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on everything you're hearing. You guys liking, not liking what you're seeing here? I'd love to hear all those thoughts and opinions down in the comments. But that's about it for me. If you guys did enjoy this video and you guys are hyped for Firebase Z and you guys are ready to watch this grind for discovering the story, the Easter egg, and completing these Easter eggs and everything like that, then definitely do all the normal YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, bell, share, and all that great stuff. But I'm going to go, and I'll catch you guys next stream, video, or whatever the heck it may be, and laters, guys.